So I want to move this into a new segment. We played around with this with the Skater Boys, and I want to, continue to look into the darkness by,
man,
covering some of the more crazy stories from the solar industry, right? And while it's fun to relive, some of these, interesting experiences we've had, to say it mildly, there's also an important aspect of it in which, there's a safety aspect, right? Like, I tend to, again, paint this just fantastic picture of the utility scale solar industry, but the fact of the matter is, it can be extremely dangerous.
Absolutely.
And even further past that, just given a full picture of what it is to work in the solar industry and the dangers associated with, there's also a lot of funny stuff that happens. There's just a lot of interesting situations that we might not be able to cover in, when talking about somebody's career. So I wanted to open up the rest of the industry to the audience, right? So that's the point of Solar After Dark. Oh, that one was kind of stale. That one really didn't. That one wasn't crispy. But that's the whole point of this. So, Sai, I've asked you a couple of times now to just think of some kind of crazy stories that you've experienced throughout your career. Stories that you have one degree of separation from, that you know the story very well from a credible source. So, you have that first story already in your head. You already know.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Let's hear it.
Yeah, drop names too.
Yeah, drop names. Okay. I've been sitting here trying to think of the name of the project. I can tell you, I can see it. I can see the entrance.
Let's maybe not name projects if we can.
Yeah, it's in the we'll call it the Triangle area of North Carolina. Small little project, 5 megawatt project, about 7 AC. These were, it's either Schneider's, the XCNA, the 680s.
Schneider's.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. We'll start with the commissioning part of this project, because there's actually 2 stories that come out of this project that stick with me. The ones again, kind of going back to that, it's the same group of folks that always went through and did the QA, did the testing. Well, we were going through and doing the testing. And was it? I bet it was an advanced. I don't know. Now I'm going back and forth on whether it was an AE 1000 or not. I still think it was a Cheetah. Sorry. We had gone through. We'd done VOC testing and polarity testing. Everything had come back good. Apparently somebody had gotten a little lackadaisical with verifying polarity on one of our strings. So didn't catch it then. Part of our process was we'd go through, do those checks with no fusing in. Once these are all fixed tilt systems, so we were able to kind of test as we saw fit. Didn't have to worry about tracking or anything. So before we even commissioned, we would go through and do curve tracing. And we had done VOCs, done polarity, thought it was fine. Probably tested 2/3 of the field and closed in one, and it just sounded like a pound of bacon in there. And then just fire just pours out, and that was probably my first real experience with an arc flash, and there were 2 of us there, or 3 of us there. Luckily we had, the Soul Metric was sitting on top of the combiner. The technician, everybody had their PPE on. Everybody was doing good. We were in FR gear, had our hot gloves on, face shields, all that stuff. I mean, like, we were trained, like we knew what we were doing. It's different when it's real time. So basically, anyway, fire just erupts out of this box, and we are just dumping fire extinguishers on it, and it's like, I mean, it's futile, like You have to find that circuit and break whatever faulty circuit it is, or let the box burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And it burned and it burned and it burned. And we're running around and trying to find these circuits. We knew basically what box we were in, but didn't know exactly which string it was. We had these little, back in FLS, we would hire or hang these little yellow tags at each drop. So it would hang off the back of the purlin. You can look down the road and say, oh, there's a break, there's a break. So we were just running through each one of those and seeing if we can correlate it. And finally, somebody who I won't name had a pair of dikes in their pocket and cut the right string, and it finally went out. But I mean, it ruined 3 or 4 modules. We probably all had to go change our pants. But again, everybody was safe. Nobody got hurt. Everybody, like, you don't go in and try to save the equipment. You don't try to be here. You get out of there and you get away from it. And once you know you're safe, then you can worry about putting it out. So we ended up, I can't remember if I don't think any of the Solmetric equipment got damaged. I think as somebody was backing away, it's hooked to a computer and, it's a big bag and all that stuff. I think when they pulled it, it fell loose and the alligator clips popped loose and it was just on the ground. But yeah, we got to replace a whole new box and do all that stuff. The funny part of that is when we were commissioning it, we had external AC breakers that we had to close in. It was just a standalone breaker to feed from your secondary side of your transformer into your inverter. But it was like a master pack that's usually incorporated into the inverter. Now I'm beginning to wonder if I'm wrong altogether on the inverter. It's been so many years. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're kind of, we've got the area clear. We've got the electrical contractor on site. We have our commissioning team on site, and we know they're going hot. They come over the radio that they're going to go hot. They're going to energize from the transformer to the inverter. So I hear the bang. It's a loud breaker. You can hear it across the field. And then all of a sudden, I just see smoke coming up from the pad. And so everybody just took off running. And we're like, oh, shit, no, not again. Jeez, what did we miss this time? And we get over there, and the electrician had put a smoke bomb underneath it and was just over there laughing his ass off as we all just come running around. So, that's part of that fun playing again. Nobody got hurt, but I thought for sure that was my end of my career in solar because I'd already burned up one box, and here we are burning up equipment. So,
oh my God, I want to know who that electrician was.
Well, I don't know if he's still in the industry or not.
Okay, then I probably don't know him. All right, then I don't need
to. Somebody that's worked with him for sure.
Okay. Oh my God, that's a level of dirt. Like, I love a good practical joke, but that is like
cold-blooded.
Yeah, that was rough, man. Yeah. But I've never been so happy to be pissed off in my whole life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a perfect statement for that. All right, so let's unpack a couple of things that happened with that event. So, number one, for people that don't know VOCs, first off, VOC, voltage open circuit, that's a test we perform to verify the voltage of the system. And so what's done during that process is you take a multimeter, you take an electrical testing device, and you plug it into the circuit, and it'll either tell you that the voltage is 600, or it'll tell you the voltage is negative 600. But that's it. That's what we're talking about with polarity. It's either a positive polarity or a negative polarity. And so these are
you're only going to have that on DC as well. You don't have polarities on AC.
Right. So these meters are essentially, it's like you're looking at a calculator and you're standing in the sun, trying to read this calculator. You're sweating. You're wearing a freaking spacesuit sometimes. It depends on who the EPC is, right? Like it either way, you're wearing electrical gloves. It's probably hot. You can't see. And you have to see this little tiny negative symbol on your calculator screen, more or less, to catch that. And so if you become complacent, it's an easy one to miss. And so what happened there is that person missed that the polarity was flipped. And what happened is it short circuited the entire system in that one location. Um, and so you can imagine all the sunlight across an entire field, right? You concentrated that into a location about that big, about, the size of a pencil eraser. All that sunlight concentrated in that one little place. You can imagine how hot that is, right? Like, even if you don't understand electrical theory, you can understand that. So that's basically what happens in that scenario when you have reverse polarity. You short circuit that entire array. You cause a very hot spot somewhere, you know.
And the reason we, and maybe you were about to get this, I don't mean to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead. You got it. Go for it.
About not dumping fire extinguishers on. Is that what you were going to get into?
Oh, no, I was going to go to the don't open fuses or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, go ahead and finish that thought.
Yeah. But it should be noted, in the event that you accidentally close a reverse polarity, don't open it. Don't open that fuse back up. No, you could run the risk, or you could take a gamble and try to make the air brake fast enough, but you're probably not going to be fast enough. It is not recommended. No company is going to tell you to go find the circuit and cut the circuit. And odds are nowadays it's going to be a BLA system anyway. So it's going to be even more problematic or less problematic. That would actually probably be less problematic, huh?
Yeah, I think you'd be down to just a string as opposed to at the harness level.
Yeah, actually, I have had reverse polarity on harnesses before. It creates really weird voltages on a BLA system. I forgot all about that. Yeah, it's different with BLA, man. It is different with BLA. Yeah, interesting. But where was I even going with that, man? It's solar after dark. I've totally lost my train of thought.
I don't know, but the reason fire extinguishers don't work is because it's not the source is still there.
Yeah.
We dumped probably, I know at least 120 and 2 10-pound tanks on it, and nothing. Like, it just, like, you could maybe get it to go out for a second, but then that current's still flowing and it's still arcing, and still, again, until the wire that has become the fuse burns in half and opens that circuit up, or you find the circuit and open it up.
Yeah,
you have to open that circuit.
That's before. Where I was going with that. I was going towards the big safety disclaimer that we need to make on this podcast, which is, do not cut the source wire and say that Sun's Out told you to do it. Okay, listen,
don't do that.
Listen, that's where I was going with this. Is like, if in the event that you had a reverse polarity happen and you're on site, you basically have two real options. Number one, you let it burn down, which is what you should do. You should just
That's what you should do. If there's a fire, let it burn.
Keep yourself safe.
Sucks.
Right?
That's right.
It sucks. But we've already kind of opened this can of worms, so now we have to completely address it. Like, you can cut the circuit, but you have to know that there's going to be a significant arc flash there, and obviously additional shock hazards. I think the most important thing is you can't do it. Don't do it barehanded. Don't do it barehanded, and you have to do it incredibly fast. Bottom line is, don't do it. The bottom line is, don't do it. It's not worth the risk.
That's right.
But that's what we were talking about when he cut the circuit. Is he inevitably took an appropriate the dikes, and cut it really fast. That was the only way he was able to do that without getting hurt.
That's why most of your MC4 connectors or AFL connectors, if you look real close to them, it says "Do not disconnect under load." Well, That's why. Is because it's going to pull an arc.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I have told this story before, but like, there was I almost said the project name, but there was this one project in South Carolina that just keeps on going with problems. And yeah, I know you're already thinking of which project I'm talking about. I was down there, man, and your buddy, his name rhymes with Rod. Like his crew. Oh God, what was his last name? He worked for Archer. Okay, Archer doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well, Rod was the one that threw the smoke bomb. By the way.
Oh, was he? Oh, I have worked with him. And Rod I've never had anybody make me more angry more fast.
For sure.
Than Rod. I will never forget Rod. But his crew, man, or somebody else's crew, who knows? But they had messed some stuff up, and I had this one MC4 that was completely charred. And my dumb butt, not only my dumb butt, thought it was a good idea to bare hand the charred MC4 to get a better photo of it. But I was touching this charred freaking MC4 with the system under load and the circuit still connected. Ooh. Yeah. So the MC4 in my hand literally crumbles apart and pulls the connection apart. And I just hold this beautiful blue ball of electricity in my hand for a second before I yank my hand away.
Yep.
God. What's your story, Sean? I know you have one just like that.
I've never made any mistakes. No. Let me tell you about my first combiner box fire.
I love it that it's your first combiner box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got another good one, too. We'll save it for another time. But yeah, we had these SMA combiner boxes that had ground fault detectors on them. But you can't wire two to the same panel because it lets voltage leak through, which we learned after one inverter would continuously trip. So then my idea was just to take the metal plate off that made all the positives common, which was a good idea, but I did it under load.
Oh my God.
And to his credit, Luke Wyatt was next to me and he kept saying, like, this is a good idea. We should unplug everything. And I was like, no, man, I got this. Don't worry. And then one little piece of that common bus hit the back plate of the combiner box and went up. And you were talking about let it burn. I sat there with a screwdriver and pliers trying to pull that piece off to save it from burning.
God.
Yeah.
Oof. Wow.
So, yeah, don't do that.
No, didn't get hurt? Nobody got hurt?
No, it's good.
Just your pride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just your pride. That's
so
a bold move.
Friends, you know? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got one, Cyrus, that you could probably help relive. The dude with the pink toolbox or tool bag. The dude that was given the pink tool bag.
Oh yeah. I can't remember.
He's
his
associated.
Name. I can see him.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't say his name. We shouldn't say his name because I want to unpack
Sean
some
told me
of...
to drop names.
Yeah. Well, we're going to unpack his greatest hits, I hope. Like, I know he had some good ones. Like, what were some of those? Like, y'all had some wild times in South Carolina. Were you a part of any of that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I was there when a contractor that shall not be named was inside an inverter that was hot, doing some torquing. Obviously, that's not the preferred method.
No.
So yeah, it lit his ass up. He's fine. You know, that's, you know, I've luckily been, I need to find some wood to knock on, been more, I've seen mostly close calls, you know, minor injuries, stuff like that. But, oh yeah, man, we blew up PTs. We up on the pole. We had inrush current in that site so bad that so that was from a miswired PT up top. we also had inrush current on that site so bad. So when we close in the system for the first time, we're taking that grid power through all of our equipment, and it's magnetizing all the cores of these transformers. And I don't remember, it was a decent size, like 15, 16 megawatts. And all that came on basically at the same time. And it caused a steel, I think they were like a wire manufacturer, like they made steel wire, like coil, for like fencing or whatever, caused it to go offline and just fuck their whole line up. They had to throw the whole line out. Oh, you can imagine that did not go over well.
Oh my God, that is not fun.
Man, you're bringing back some good memories here. Trying to think what else happened on that site.
Well, unpack the backwards wiring. Like help the audience understand what happened there.
So I'm trying to, I might be talking out of my ass a little bit because it's been so long since I've done it. But basically they wired their, how the best way to explain this. There's wiring coming off of your CTs, which measure your current. So we have a meter device up on a pole on these sites as part of our interconnection. We'll have a riser pole where the medium voltage conductor comes up. It's usually got some kind of cutouts on it or fuse cutouts. It'll go to a meter pole, or is it recloser, Sean? It's been a long time since I've been on it. Which one does it go to first?
I think it's
recloser.
recloser.
The recloser is closer to the site. Yeah.
Okay, so it's riser pole, recloser, meter.
And that's because of the PTs that I can explain that one later.
Yeah. And so you can isolate to get in there and work on them, I assume, right?
Right.
You did that from both sides. Okay. Riser pole, recloser, meter pole, and then a GoAb is usually our four-pole configuration. And the wiring for the CTs, which measures your current, there's the CTs and PT. So there's the PTs measure your voltage, the CTs measure your current. You take that, combine it together, make watts, and that's how we bill or how we monitor our site and make sure it's producing right. Somehow the internal wiring from the relay down at the bottom did not get wired properly up top. They switched it around. I don't know if maybe they didn't take some shunts out, or they didn't ground it properly, or left it grounded maybe. But anyway, as soon as the power hit it, it just fucking exploded. Like it was like shot pieces out. So we had to back up and punt there. But yeah, basically it's a miswiring issue that, and this we actually took that as a learning opportunity, believe it or not, to require the contractors to give us pictures, because these poles are 40 feet in the air. Like we can't climb up there and take pictures of them of how they're wiring it. So we then started requiring them to send us pictures down, and their color coding needed to be not only match our plans, but be consistent from the top to the bottom.
Which was always a nightmare trying to get people on board with that. And I still don't understand why that was so hard to get people on board with. But yeah, just to kind of to summarize that whole issue one more time, you have your current transformer, which is a metering device, and then you have your potential transformer, which is a metering device. Your current measures current, and your potential measures voltage. And so I'm going to try to not get this wrong. A PT will measure leg to leg. A CT is basically the current has to pass through it. So there's basically only one leg going through the CT. Okay. And so what happened there with that switch up is essentially they short circuited the entire grid through the relay. And that caused a massive fireworks show. Unfortunately, nobody was hit with any shrapnel or anything, because if I understand correctly, in that particular instance, it blew the entire thing apart, did it not?
No, it did. Absolutely. Yep. Smoked it, blew it out. And we were down. It put us behind because, they're not like off-the-shelf items. They're not quick to go get.
Right. And so,
Sean, didn't you have somebody blow your meter up, your hand meter one time?
I did.
Was that your meter? Okay.
Yeah, I think Steven and I briefly talked about it on the last call.
Okay.
If you hand someone a meter, don't assume they know how to use it, especially if you say, don't touch that other one because it's hot.
Yeah, measuring 7,200 volts with a 600 volt meter or 1,500 volt meter.
Yeah, I'm sure that was Hioki.
It was, yeah. Thing held up surprisingly well, though. Yeah.
And again, just to go back to the purpose of the whole solar after dark concept, these type of things, while dangerous and not something to, find enjoyable, like you should never be excited or happy that something blew up, right? Because that's somebody's hard-earned money ultimately, right? And certainly, like, people's jobs are going to be scrutinized at that point at best. But the feeling that you get when you first go to energize a site it's just like, it's such a, oh God, I almost said it's so energizing. But really though, like, it just like that extra sense of like, oh, it could go really freaking wrong here. I don't know, man. It's just, I like it.
Like, there's definitely something thrilling about it, for sure.
It's certainly thrilling, and it's also it's fun going through the exercise of checking off on everything you possibly can to make sure nothing bad does happen.
Isolate equipment and do one thing at a time, just so, because by all means you could just make everything hot and just throw the switch and see what happens, but
cross fingers.
It's not advisable.
No, it's not.
Solar is not nearly as much as the Wild Wild West as it used to be.
Right.
People are there. There's a lot more processes. There's a lot more safety involved. There's energization procedures. There's switching orders. There's and all that stuff gets reviewed well in advance of doing any of these operations. But that doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen. You gotta make sure that you're doing everything you can to mitigate as many of these risks as you can. But inevitably, it's still going to go wrong. I mean,
right.
And again, between the three of us, I mean, hundreds of sites we've turned on.
Yep.
And minimal amount of stuff that we've seen. And again, it's I don't want to scare somebody away from it. That it is a dangerous job. It is. But like, if you can surround yourself with people that take it seriously and can still have a good time, obviously, I think that's the three of us pretty well.
Yep.
But also respect the sheer amount of energy and potential danger in there, and do what they can to make sure that you're safe and everybody else around them safe. It's a great field to be in.
Yep. And I think if you're the thrill-seeking type, the commissioning side of things is certainly where you might want to look, because we are surrounded by very competent people in this industry. We've got a solid crew that we work with in our circle, for sure. And they can do everything perfectly. But it doesn't change the fact that there could be an internal failure somewhere in some piece of equipment. And typically on utility scale stuff, when there's an internal failure on something, it's a fireworks show. So, you take the proper precautions to keep people safe, but it still is, like you said, thrilling nonetheless. Not necessarily in a good way, but it's certainly, like, it keeps the job interesting, for sure.
Yep, that's right.
Oh man.
I got so many other stories. Some of them still make me like almost nauseous to think about how close, bad shit was to happening.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to say that a project that we were both on within the last year or so. That one.
We're not going to.
Yeah.
What we're going to do with that one? What we're going to do with that one is we are going to disguise that one, because here's the thing. This is going to be a regular thing, right? Like Cyrus is going to join us on these Solar After Dark episodes as much as he can, and we certainly appreciate that. And he's got a lot of stories to tell. So do we. And like, we're going to continue to like relive those stories because it's fun, and I think it's an important thing to do because like what Cyrus was just saying there is like, we, while we've been through a lot are still finding ourselves in new situations that require, taking a step back and, looking at the bigger picture, right? There's lessons that we're learning from these interesting situations. So we Cyrus, write them down, man, as they come to mind, because we definitely want to get into them on future episodes. But,
sounds good. Yeah, I'll change the names.
Yeah, and I think it's important talking about the processes that we go through, because these process talks that you might get at your solar company, it might be great bedtime reading, but there's a reason they're out there, and it's because mistakes were made and learned lessons. Like even the photos of the PTCTs at the top of the pole, how they're wired, is you don't realize how important that is until CT blows up and is flying over your head and you have no idea where it's going to land.
That's right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't shortcut. Yeah. What is that? What's that saying? There's old electricians and there's bold electricians, but there's not any old bold electricians.
I love that. Oh, I love that. That is. You'll find another thing. You're going to love the Solar After Dark series because Cyrus is also full of all of these sayings, and I hope he uses every single one of them on this podcast. I can only hope. But listen, man, I'm super stoked on this series. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. Cyrus, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight and unpack your career, man. It's certainly been a privilege to watch, at least part of that, and I can't wait to see how it continues to grow and unfold. I have no doubt that there's still just endless runway for you to go wherever the hell you want to go. So again, out of all the places you could have spent your time, thank you for spending it with us, man.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity. I mean, not like hanging out with you guys anyway. So, and it's always just fun to shoot the shit. So yeah, let's do it again. I had a good time. It's cathartic to get some of this stuff out.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Cyrus, stick around. I want to talk with you for 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. But for the rest of you, we will see you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yep. See y'all.